from the Post Millennial. We have this story. Greg Gutfeld jokes Tucker Carlson will run for president after leaving Fox News. Granted, he's joking. He said in 2024 it will be Susan Rice versus Tucker Carlson. And then you can see that Post Millennial's got some what is that, CSS code or something? That's just, I'm going to highlight that so that Libby sees it and goes, God, crap.
Libby, what are you doing?
The Gutfeld host made the comments while appearing on Fox News, The Five, alongside other Fox personalities. The panelists then brought up Democrat Susan Rice, President Biden's White House domestic policy advisor, who announced she would be departing from her post on Monday, which had the Fox News personalities predicting she would be a contender in the 2024 election. So he's kind of joking, but kind of not. And I'm wondering now, so the conversation is Trump Carlson 2024? But then there was a question. I don't know if it was you were asking it, Adrian, DeSantis, Carlson, maybe.
That'd be a ticket.
Now, here's the thing: if the Republican primary is between DeSantis, Carlson, and Trump, I'm a happy man, right? If these are the kinds of candidates we're getting, because look at what it was back in 2016, right? Trump was the only person who had politics that were remotely interesting, besides, I guess, Ron Paul.
We were very, very close to fixing the system and getting everything done right. With Jeb.
Exactly, Jeb. But you look, I mean,
you knew where I was going before I said it.
All we have had for years and years, decades, are these boring establishment candidates who just want to go along with whatever their donors tell them.
We got that meme of Jeb with the entire map turning yellow.
I don't disagree that we should have picked Jeb, but we missed our opportunity. But to be real, Jeb is the one that got away. There's no getting Jeb back.
Yeah,
he's gone. He's out of our life.
I thought where you were going with that was being serious about it, because honestly, we almost got Trump versus Bernie in 2020.
Oh, right.
And
yeah, seriously.
I mean, I like it's still amazing to me that we didn't get Bernie. Bernie was clearly the front runner.
Bernie was leading the charge against the Democrat establishment, and then got to the DNC, stopped, turned around, and said, "You are all trespassing, and you must leave." So it was like he let everyone there, and then just immediately joined with Hillary. And then he was like, "If you want to be a millionaire, you write a book."
Right, but that's 2016.
Yes.
In 2020, they went to Nevada, and I read about this Uncovered. MSNBC, Joy Reid, people like that went after Bernie Sanders, Chris Matthews, when he was still back on the air before he got Me Too'd, they went completely all in on Joe Biden because they needed to stop him. In the same way that Mayor Pete and Amy Klobuchar dropped out
and then endorsed Biden.
Right before Super Tuesday. I mean, these people were contenders. I mean, not huge contenders, but they all galvanized in the same way the politics did, the media did.
This is the best thing. Hear this, my friends. So Buttigieg drops out of the race, endorses Joe Biden. Why? It's obvious. They were siphoning away votes. They were breaking the moderate vote, and Bernie was then taking the lead. If Klobuchar, Buttigieg, if they drop out and endorse Biden, Biden gets a big bump, beats Bernie Sanders. Likely what happens is that Joe Biden goes to them and says, "I will make you a deal. Pete, you drop out, we got a job for you." He says, "Okay, you got it. How about something cushy, a do-nothing job like transportation secretary?"
You don't have to pay attention to
you don't
anything
gotta
there.
do it. What are you gonna do? What is it? And Pete's like, "So you're saying I don't have to do any work?" It's like, what's the job? Right. You look at a screen and some trucks driving by, you don't gotta do anything. Nobody pays attention. When's the last time you saw a transportation secretary on TV? And now look where we are. But for real, that's probably what happened.
Oh, yeah.
So he drops out. They're like, the job is yours. And then a train blows up and he's like, not there.
Well, I thought this was supposed to be an easy job. What's going on here?
I also think this is not necessarily an original insight. Other people have said this. This is something Dave Smith has said before too. But there is something to be said about the fact that the way Bernie treated the people he was running against didn't really match his rhetoric about the fact that they were screwing the working class, right? Trump's treatment of other political leaders matches his retic on how he feels about political leaders. He's not nice to them. And then Bernie Sanders gets on stage. He's like, "Oh, well, of course, I love these people. They are my best friends." And it's like, okay, well, you're not exactly selling to people that you genuinely want to fight them. But also, what did Bernie do? He endorsed Hillary, and then he endorsed Joe Biden. So they knew they could take it from him. Donald Trump wasn't going to endorse any other Republican if he didn't get the nomination. I know. And so they knew they had to give it to him.
The way I like to describe it is there's this big ivory tower, and Bernie comes from the left up the hill with a bunch of angry, leftists, and then Trump comes up on the right with a bunch of angry right-wingers. And then they're both standing on each side, and the elites are looking down like, "Oh, what do we do? What do we do?" And then Bernie is like, "I am humbly asking that you open the door." And then they're like, "Okay," and they let Bernie in. Knock, knock. And then Bernie's like, "I'm going to go inside real quick and work something out with them." And then next thing you know, Bernie's sticking his head out the window being like, get out of here, get out. But then Trump kicks the door in and just starts rampaging through the halls like a bull.
It's an insurrection.
And they're freaking out. And they're like, it's insurrection. Oh, help us.
And then Tucker Carlson releases the security camera footage of what happened after they broke down the door of the castle.
And then Bernie's running away with them.
Yeah.
It's like the Bernie becoming a millionaire is the perfect example of what's wrong with Bernie Sanders.
Yes.
When he has what, 4 houses? Three houses?
Something like that.
Yeah. What was his recent book? His book was like, Why It's Wrong to Be a Millionaire or something like that. You know, it's like...
He stopped saying millionaires when he became one.
Right.
Yeah.
He would say the millionaires and the billionaires. Then he became a millionaire and he stopped saying it. And I'm like, Bernie, you don't have to stop saying it because you're rich. There are people with $999 million.
Right.
You can make that point, but he's a grifter.
Yeah.
So that was it. Talk about a letdown.
Well, and he said, look, when you write a best-selling book, you can be a millionaire too. As if the publishing industry doesn't follow the same mechanisms that socialists criticize in other industries. Like, well, what about the logger who cut down the trees that were then turned into the paper, Bernie? And what about the people operating the printing press? Like, why don't they all get an equal share in the profits of your book?
The World Socialist
just you?
website called Bernie Sanders a nationalist capitalist. No joke.
What is it?
The World Socialist website called Bernie Sanders
Oh,
a nationalist capitalist.
Wow.
Because he's in favor of capitalist structures, even though he's far left, he still is talking about capitalist structures, and he wants to secure the borders so that he can protect workers. He had a quote at a rally where he said, "We can't have open borders. My God, the people, they would all just flood in." Right. And then they were like, "How dare you, you nationalist capitalist?"
Didn't he call it a Koch brothers scheme?
Yeah, in 2015.
Yeah.
He said open borders is a Koch brothers proposal to get cheap labor.
I mean, it's amazing to me how Democrats claim they're in favor of unions. They know that a scab entering into a workplace when they're not a member of a union could drive wages down. But when you place that or abstract that onto a national scale, they're unwilling to recognize that that's true. Well, wait a minute. What about like the literal union that we call like the United States of America? Don't you think someone entering into our union who isn't playing by the same rules and isn't becoming a registered member, taking jobs, might lower average wages for the people who are already in the country, but for whatever reason, the principle stops operating there?
Yeah, that's why immigration honestly was the biggest issue, cross party for Donald Trump, I think. But honestly, like I hate to go back to Tucker again, but another thing he said, it's like even Trump gets in there, and yes, he was totally anti-establishment, anti-elite. That's what got him in. But Tucker told me for the book that he gets in there and he puts Steve Mnuchin in Treasury, or a lot of the people that he put in these positions, a lot of the things that he said, and this is some of the things that Tucker has been critical of Trump about more recently, is when he actually got in there, you drain the swamp, all that. And yes, he said the right things, but ultimately, how did he govern? There's still some criticism there. And I think like a candidate who really wants to go after Trump from the right, like a DeSantis, I don't know if he's got it in him, would be to say, well, you got in there, COVID, whatever else, border. Did you actually do what you said you were going to do and break up the actual, elite establishment that you claim to be doing?
Somewhat, but only a little bit, and not enough.
Right.
Not enough, but enough to where I'm looking forward to Trump getting revenge with Schedule F.
Yeah.
And I think what really makes this work is if Trump just had his term and then lost and there was no Russiagate and there was no impeachment and all that stuff, I wouldn't know if I'd be so enthused. I'd be like, well, we had Trump, like maybe DeSantis is going to work out. I don't know. But the fact that they've gone after Trump so heavy-handedly, the fact that they're trying to indict him in 3 different jurisdictions, I'm like, okay. So now we're going to get that equal and opposite reaction that I'm excited about. They came at Trump super hard, and he's ready to come back, Schedule F, lockdown, take it. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
I mean, the Hunter Biden laptop story, just like the icing on the cake of the Trump, presidency. I mean, the way that the media, in collusion with tech companies, in collusion with the FBI, as we now know, thanks to the Twitter files, locked down that story. And the fact that it has become so obvious that it was true. I mean, it was true when it actually was being written, but the way the media covered it, and then what we now know, has just made that just so clear to everyone that if that moved a few thousand votes, a couple, 30,000 votes, that would have made an enormous difference in the election. And the fact that they did that will stick with people, I think. And that, it's a media story, but it's a politics story.
Yeah. There was a poll done on that as well. A very large percentage of Biden voters had absolutely no idea about the Hunter Biden story. And about 10% of people who voted for Biden who were surveyed said if they had known about the Hunter Biden laptop story, they would not have voted for Joe.
Yeah, I think it was like 16%, but that was enough to have swung the election depending on where those voters were.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.